Hey, it's Jocelyn here with the Positivity in Pregnancy and Motherhood podcast, where I try and teach you the positivity tips and tricks and hacks that have helped me in pregnancy and motherhood, so that hopefully you can navigate pregnancy and motherhood better than I have. You can kind of learn from my mistakes and be a little bit ahead of the game, which is why I have a passion and a desire to share these tips and tricks, is because pregnancy and motherhood have both been hard for me. I am still what I would consider a young mom. My oldest is 9, my youngest is 2, and I have had 4 kids, but I have learned some things in pregnancy, like I mentioned, and in motherhood, as I mentioned, that have helped me to enjoy my stay-at-home motherhood a lot better than I was. They've also helped me to enjoy my pregnancy a lot better than I had. And it's through shifting mindset, through working through your thoughts and finding the thoughts that you want to live, that you want to represent, and that you want to become during pregnancy and motherhood, and not just letting our subconscious run away with all the negative thoughts that are so easy to find and so easy to fill our head with during those seemingly difficult seasons of life. So thank you for joining me. Let's get on to our episode. Hi, I'm Jocelyn, host of the Positive in Pregnancy and Motherhood podcast. I help pregnant women and mothers to find positivity in their season of life through changing their thoughts to work for them and not against them. I help mothers find the small, doable steps in thought and action without making drastic changes to their everyday mom life. And I can help you. Thanks for joining. So I do a pregnancy-focused episode every Tuesday and a motherhood episode every Friday. The pregnancy episodes are because God has really laid it on my heart many, many times that I have got to share what I learned. I was really stubborn for a long time and didn't want to, but lately I have been doing it. And that is why I'm here, because that does need to be shared. There is something to be said for these mindset tricks and tips that can really help you navigate pregnancy better. So today I wanted to talk about the sense of smell, especially the sense of smell as it relates to pregnancy. So when you first get pregnant, you might not have any symptoms for like a week or so. And then after that, one of the symptoms that can kind of come along with the nausea is the sense of stronger smell, of heightened smell, and being able to sniff a little better or even a lot better than you were able to before. Today I want to give you 4 tips to deal with the heightened sense of smell so that you don't feel like upchucking everywhere. Because that is one of the things that the heightened sense of smell can do. It can make you feel like you want to throw up because the smell makes you nauseous. Or at least that was the case of me, and as I've heard from other women, that has been the case for them as well. And I actually didn't know that there was a word for this until I was doing a little bit of research and just looking stuff up on this. And it's actually called hyperosemia, if I said that right, which is a persistently heightened or increased sense of smell. It's very common in pregnancies, but it has also been linked to allergies and some health conditions. Some scientists on this report that I found, I will link to it in the show notes, said that the heightened sense of smell can be something that triggers morning sickness or the sickness that you get. One study of these scientists even found that women born without a sense of smell didn't suffer from the morning sickness, which I don't know how realistic that is, but if that was all it took to get rid of that sickness, man, sign me up, right? I'll stop smelling for 6 weeks or so. So why does this happen? Why do we get a heightened sense of smell? Well, a lot of it comes from the increased hormone levels, specifically of estrogen, and that can help lead to the keener sense of smell. So what can we do about it while you're pregnant and you're getting sick and Smells are making you nauseous. What can you do? The 4 tips I have for you, let's start with the first one. The first thing I want to talk about is to freshen up. Kind of freshen your house up. Maybe open your windows. Let that fresh air come into your house so you don't have so much stale air and stinky air and stagnant air that just is bothersome to your nose. If the weather is cooperative and good enough, maybe open those windows. Freshen it up. Move things around. Wash your sheets. And freshen your house up a little bit. That can be a physical thing that you can do to help deal with the smell. The next step, or the next thing that I would recommend when navigating this season or this part of your pregnancy, would be to stay away from foods that trigger it. So if onions trigger it, I remember one time my sister-in-law could not even be in the same room as onions because she was so triggered with the smell of onions during her pregnancy. For me, it was just any stale and stagnant air that wasn't moving, or like poopy diapers. That was really hard, which I still had to navigate, and you still have to navigate, but I'll give you some tips for that coming up as well. But if it's specific foods, like maybe it's onions or maybe it's cold leftovers, do your best to stay away from it. Steer clear of it. This is only temporary. It does go away. And if you can just steer clear of onions or, like I said, the other triggers that trigger your nose in these things, if you can stay away from those for this week or these weeks, depending on how long it lasts for you. And I would say it's probably 6 weeks or so. If you can stay away from those, that will really help you not to feel so sick and nauseous. So going kind of along with that, but also leads into number 3, would be to ask people to be considerate. So when my sister-in-law was really sensitive to onions, we kind of tried to leave onions out of things unless they were like cooked in really good, or we at least gave her a forewarning if we were doing a meal and bringing onions and so on and so forth, so that she could be prepared, or she could go into the other room. Do you know what I'm saying? If you ask for people to be considerate, usually they can get on board, especially knowing that it's just going to be temporary, but that it would really help you out. And so for that 6 weeks, we would get better at not doing onions for her. For me, it was asking my husband to tell me before he opened the leftovers so I could leave the room. And then once the leftovers were microwaved or cooked, I could come back in and be fine because it wasn't that yucky leftover smell. So that helped me to just leave the room and not get so nauseous because of that smell. So the 4th step is to distract your nose. Now, I love to use the art of distraction when I'm trying to do a goal or to reach something or to avoid something. So when I'm trying to avoid social media and not get on my phone so much, I like to distract myself with something else, like a book or a project or my kids or so on and so forth. But distracting, you can actually try and do with your nose as well. And in order to distract your nose, you could chew on a piece of gum or suck on a hard candy. These can help take your attention away from the odors. Peppermint candies or ginger candies actually might help with that nausea as well. I found a brand of ginger candies that I really loved when I was pregnant and during that kind of heightened smell, nausea, sick phase that really did help take it away. So there are resources like that can help you when everything you smell just makes you want to barf. I remember at a point, well, actually almost a few points during my last few pregnancies, well, all my pregnancies, stumbling over my words here, but all of my pregnancies, I have had this heightened sense of smell. I hated the smell of my toothpaste. I hated the smell of my body odor. I hated the smell of my deodorant. I hated the smell of my house. I hated the smell sometimes even of my husband and his body odor. And it was hard. It was really hard to navigate this when everything you smell stinks. It was not very enjoyable. And that's where we come to our thought tools. Sometimes in order to get our mind off of how hard it is that we have to smell everything that smells 10 times more potent and it makes us nauseous and almost feel car sick, we have to get our mind off of that as well. We have to distract our mind. There's a few ways you can distract your mind. First, you can physically remove yourself from the situation. Go outside, go into a different room, go downstairs, what have you, but leave the situation. Another is to try and focus on gratitude. Like, look around you and just distract your mind and your nose with filling your head with things that you are grateful for. Maybe you're at a lunch conference and you can't really leave the room. You have to stay there, but that smell of their food is just driving you nauseous. So start looking around and listing everything around the room that you see that you could be grateful for. I'm grateful for the walls. I'm grateful for the air conditioner. I'm grateful for paint. I'm grateful for carpet. I'm grateful for tables. I'm grateful for chairs. You just let that carry over and keep going from everything you see. And as you distract your mind, it actually can help distract your nose. But if your mind dwells on the fact that, wow, these people lunch stinks and it's driving me nuts and I hate it, you're going to reap that. You're going to hate the smell. You're going to get worse and it's going to be hard because we reap what we sow. Even when it comes to our thoughts, we reap those thoughts that we sow. And during our pregnancy and in fact in all of our life, we want to reap thoughts or sow thoughts that we want to reap. So we want to sow those good thoughts that are going to help us in this situation, not hinder us, not make us feel like it's worse or harder than it is. So I was only going to give you 4 tips, but I thought of another one and I wanted to share it as kind of a bonus tip. And that is to have good smelling things around your house. Now, the reason this is a bonus tip and not a full-on tip is because it can kind of be good one day and not good the other day. So I'll explain what I mean. So some of the smells during pregnancy that help with nausea, like ginger, peppermint, cinnamon, stuff like that, lemon, they can help during pregnancy. And if you diffuse your house with good smelling stuff like that, it can help. But at the same time, I've also had days where I could handle a smell and then the next day I just could not do that smell. So it might be good to fill up your house with a Scentsy or some good smelling thing, but just be aware of the fact that tomorrow that may change, kind of like your cravings. Tomorrow your cravings are not going to be the same as they are today, and same with your sensitive nose. Tomorrow it may not like what it likes today, but take that into consideration when filling your house up, and maybe take a sniff before you turn that Scentsy on and it makes you nauseous. So to sum up a little bit of what we talked about today, of some of the tips I gave you to navigate that heightened sense of smell, the first was to freshen your house up by opening windows, washing sheets, doing stuff like that to get things a little bit more fresh. The next tip was to stay away from trigger foods or smells, if you can. I know in some cases when you got to change a poopy diaper and no one else is home, you just got to do it and get through it. But that is where you can distract your nose. Distract your nose with peppermint gum, ginger candies, and such of the sort. And the fourth tip, which actually was supposed to be number 3 and the last one was supposed to be number 4, sorry I mixed those up, was to ask for consideration during these heightened weeks of kind of having a nose that is more sensitive and it's keen to some of those smells that are not going to sit well in your stomach. And our bonus tip was to have good smelling things around your house, but be cautious because one day these might smell good and the next day they might smell terrible. I hope some of these tips help you in your pregnancy. I hope they help you to find and to have a more positive pregnancy, to be the woman that you want to be during pregnancy, the woman who glows, who feels honored and privileged to have her baby. If that is not enough and you need some extra help, I created a program or a little course called the Positivity in Pregnancy Program. Well, it's actually the Positive in Pregnancy Program because I want you to have a positive mindset. Because shifting my mindset is what helped me so much in pregnancy, as I mentioned at the beginning of this episode. They are just simple exercises, small and short videos of 1 to 2 minutes long that can help you to find positivity. You don't have to get off your couch. You don't have to write anything down. You just have to watch the video and let your mind work. Let your mind actually follow along and do your best to have more intentionality in your thoughts. And you will be able to find a more positive pregnancy during that sick phase where your smell is heightened and you are discouraged because everything and every smell is making you sick. If that interests you, it is the top link in the show notes. I would love to help you out. I would love to help you find that positive pregnancy. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. And most of all, thank you for implementing these tools into your own life to become a better woman, a better mom, and a better you. Until next time, thank you for being a part of the Positive in Pregnancy and Motherhood podcast, for listening, for sharing, and most of all, for applying these tools into your own life to improve your own happiness so that you can find your own better thoughts for a better you in a positive pregnancy, in losing that stubborn baby weight, and becoming the mom you desire to be through taking small steps in thought and action to reach your goals. If you are a mother who has an inner desire to enjoy motherhood and pregnancy better, but you are having difficulty figuring it out, I can help you. I can help you find the small, doable steps without drastic changes to your everyday mom life. Reach out, let's connect, and let's see you move forward. My name is Jocelyn, and I thank you for listening. Until next time.